Hi, I'm Lee. I'm from Pulse Property, and I'm going to run through some of the changes we have coming into effect on May 19th in regards to the Residential Tenancy Act. There are some big changes for us coming, and I thought it best to put this out to our current landlords and try and explain in more detail. The first change I'll discuss is keeping of pets. The new legislation will allow tenants to keep up to 4 animals within a property. A landlord will only be able to decline a pet depending on certain reasons, and these reasons will be outlined within the application form. Landlords will only have 21 days to respond to any pet request by a tenant. If no response is done, the pet is automatically approved. In the Sutherland Shire, where the majority of our properties are, council will allow 2 dogs and 2 cats. So these will be deemed council restrictions in any pet application from a tenant. Some of the other major changes are in relation to the notice to terminate a lease. Currently, we have a no grounds termination policy in place. The changes for this will involve needing to give reasons for the notice of termination. For example, if you're looking to sell a property, we will need to provide the tenant evidence of the property sale. This will be in the form of an agency agreement or a contract for sale. If you are looking to move into the property or have a family member looking to move into the property, we will need written statements to provide as evidence that this will occur. If you're looking to demolish the property, we will need to show an invoice or quote ready for demolition of the premises. With the notice periods for termination, some of these are changing. Currently, on a periodic agreement or a rolling agreement, they are technically the same thing. The notice is 90 days. That notice period is staying the same at 90 days. For a fixed term agreement, the notice period is changing. Currently, that sits at 30 days. It will be 60 days. Notice needed to be given on a lease of 6 months and less, or 90 days needed to be given on a lease of 6 months or more. One of the big changes is the exclusion periods that apply once you've given a notice of termination. So what this means is that if you give a tenant a notice of termination due to you selling the property, you are not able to release that property for a period of 6 months. We will be able to seek exemptions. However, at this stage, we're unaware of the time frame and how this will be done, but it will need to be sought through fair trading. The exclusion periods are 6 months on a sale of a property, 6 months if you're looking to move into the property. If you're looking to undertake renovations or works to the property, an exclusion of 4 weeks would apply before you are able to release that property. Fair Trading have put in place ways to track this through bonds, through CRM systems that the property managers use. So they will be tracking this to make sure that landlords and agents do follow the new rules. Individual fines will apply to agents and also to landlords should breaches occur. One of the pending changes that won't take effect on May 19th, but will take effect later in this year, is a centre pay system. This is run by the Commonwealth and is a free way to pay for tenants. We believe this system will become mandatory for agencies to use. It's a free way for tenants to pay their rent. However, there will be fees payable by a landlord to receive rent via this system. At this stage, we're not sure of those fees, but we will keep you updated as soon as we know more. We understand that some of these changes are difficult and will be hard to understand. If at any point in time you do have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are more than happy to help and answer any questions that you do have.
Hey, my name's Tony, and at Grow, we help a lot of the landlords from Pulse Property to look at their options when it comes to financing their investment properties. So a recent example we had was one of the landlords that owned a property through Pulse. They weren't sure about if they should even keep their property because all the legislative changes, they were just a bit worried about, is it just too much to handle? And what we always try to do is first and foremost look at restructuring before you make a big decision to sell. So in this example, the client had a place worth around about $850,000. They had a loan of $670,000 that was on a rate of 6.2%. That was costing them pretty much $800 a week in interest, and the rent was only $620. So there was a bit of a gap there. So what we managed to do was actually find them a rate of 5.29% and even borrow an extra $10,000. So we refinanced the loan from $670,000 to $680,000 at 5.29%. And that reduced their repayment down to $690 per week. So it saved them $110 per week, but it also gave them an extra $10,000 buffer. So I always say to landlords, if you've done all the hard work to buy the property, you're always best to look at options to restructure before you make that quick decision to sell. So if you'd like to find out more information, make sure you join us on our upcoming webinar. We're going to talk about these legislative changes and also go through some alternative finance options.